Butcher's Crossing by John Williams. Now, the reason why I picked up this book and I was so eager to read it, I had such high expectations, is because I've watched a couple of videos in which it was stated that Butcher's Crossing is Blood Meridian before Blood Meridian. These videos said that Butcher's Crossing is Blood Meridian on steroids. So there was a lot of hype. All of these videos were talking that good shit. I thought this was going to be crazy because, of course, if you've read Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, you just know that for the most part, it is an absolute masterpiece of just the darkest shit possible. So, when I finally got my hands on this, I just thought that I was gonna get carried and immersed in the darkest stuff possible. I thought that I held in my hand, one of the darkest books possible, a true masterpiece of genius, something that is superior to Blood Meridian. I thought that I was gonna go on a journey into the night, into a blood-soaked nightmare of epic proportions. Unfortunately, all of those videos lied to me. All of those reviews were a whole lot of nonsense. Butcher's Crossing by John Williams is, unfortunately, a big disappointment, in my view. This is just my opinion, by the way. About 300 pages of absolutely the most boring and redundant stuff possible, okay? Because the premise is this. It's so simple. We have these four characters who go on this hunt for buffalo in these mountains, in a valley between mountains, and they get stuck there, and they face a couple of obstacles along the way, and then they come back and they lose a person. And the problem is that, to me, the fact that these people are so affected at the end is just so, it doesn't make any sense. It's not that serious, little bro. The way the people act at the end of this novel, they're just so affected, almost traumatized. And I'm just like, bro, it's not that serious. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Sonny? Okay, this is it. These four people, they get together on this expedition to hunt and kill and skin buffalo because the hides are, there's a market for it. And they get their stuff together and they go on this journey, and immediately they encounter certain hardships. Okay, they run out of water and they get a bit grumpy and they get a bit moody and there's some tension, and that's fine. And then later on they stumble upon some water and everything is fine, and then they keep on going, and finally they find the path and they go up the mountain and they go into the valley, and then they start hunting and killing and skinning buffalo, which is fine. Of course, it becomes systematic, mechanical. They just kill hundreds and thousands of buffalo, 50, 60, 70 a day. It becomes a completely systematic, robotic thing, mechanical, that can drive one to madness, of course. And then they are caught in a sort of blizzard, which almost kills them. And of course, so much snow falls that they get trapped in this valley, so they have to wait months when the snow melts. Okay, and of course they have a problem with their rations, with their food, because they get to eat only meat buffalo meat and maybe a deer or some rabbit, and they're a bit cranky and a bit moody because they don't have, I don't know, fruit or whatever. It's fine. Not that serious. They're not starving by any measure. And then finally, after months and months of just being cranky and moody and being stuck in this valley, finally the snow melts and they finally get the hell out of there. And of course, it's so funny because these people are, for the most part, very incompetent, even though they talk the talk. Because when they leave the valley, they have thousands of buffalo hides on this carriage, but they have to cross a river, and the river has swelled because the snow melted. And as they cross the river, their all of the hides and the carriage is washed away by the river, and one of their colleagues, Schneider, he gets killed because he gets hit by a horse, whatever. So from out of 4, only 3 survive, and they finally, at the end, they go back to civilization, and apparently they're very traumatized. Apparently they've seen some shit. And when they finally arrive back at Butcher's Crossing, it is revealed yet again that, the buffalo hide business has gone under. Nobody wants buffalo hides anymore. So even if they brought their cargo, nobody would have paid them for it. So it seems that actually this story, this novel, is actually a comedy of some sort of satirical humorous little tale. Because, listen, from beginning to end, these people are so incompetent. They cannot do anything right. They start their journey off with not enough water. Big mistake. They have to go into the mountains where it is very cold, and they do not bring any real winter clothing. They don't have any gloves. They don't have any real hats. Their coats are thin. They're stupid. Okay, they're stupid. It's simple as that. And they almost freeze up there, and they kind of lose their minds for some reason. I guess they suffer from a mild case of cabin fever, maybe. I don't know. They're too affected by something that is not that serious. To me, it seems like a vacation, actually. They get to stay up there in the mountains, a beautiful landscape. They got enough food. They got water. They just have to wait it out. And they're acting like they're going to get bombed or something. It's kind of silly. And what is so preposterous and ridiculous is that throughout these 300 pages, the common thing, the only common staple is that these 4 people, they're all grumpy and moody, and they have tension between one another, and they rub each other the wrong way. They're basically bickering and squabbling for petty things like kindergartners. It's so silly and goofy, really. When you read this story, you're like, these 4 grown-ass men are bickering about the most ridiculous stuff possible, and they're cranky and moody constantly, continuously, like they're constipated or something. It's so goofy. Okay. You know what I thought? My expectations were this. I thought that when they reached this valley between the mountains, and after they started killing and skinning these buffaloes, I thought that they would slowly lose their minds because they become mechanical. They become automatons of murder, of slaughter. It becomes a slaughter. They leave thousands of bodies of buffalo to rot everywhere. It reminded me of that scene in the movie Dances with Wolves. It's a sad sight. It is grotesque. It is somber. It is sickening. It is disgusting. And I thought that being surrounded by all this death and rotting flesh, and because they're all so bickering with one another, and they're doing the same thing, and they're covered in blood constantly, and all they do is kill and slaughter and skin these animals. I thought that this would be the perfect recipe for these people to go insane, right? And I thought I thought that because there is this added bonus of being in the wilderness, in complete and total isolation, far away from civilization. There is no law except the law of the land, of the wilderness. I thought that these people would go bonkers, and I thought that they would hunt each other and try to kill each other, or maybe they would try to eat one another because they would run out of rations or something. Maybe they would go so crazy that maybe they would start skinning one another. Who knows? Something crazy. I had such high expectations because I was told this was the Blood Meridian before Blood Meridian. I thought, oh boy, we're gonna stumble upon something that it will be legendary. In actuality, this book is a bit, in my humble opinion, it is a bit subpar, at times even mediocre, lackluster overall. There is no punch. There is no rhythm, really. It's a slog. Nothing really of import happens. It's just so. This is it. Out of 300 pages, the first 250 are nothing but these four men being cranky and moody and bickering, and then they arrive at the mountains and they start killing the buffalo, and then they get trapped there, and months go by, and then they finally leave, and they lose their cargo, and Schneider dies, and they go back to civilization, and it seems like these three survivors, it seems like they lost their minds. It's I don't understand why. It's inexplicable to me. The protagonist, Andrews, he becomes devoid of anything. He embraces the emptiness, that like he loses his hope, his passion. He becomes, I don't know, a nihilist. I don't know. He just goes away into a direction, and he doesn't care where he goes, and he just doesn't want anything anymore. He doesn't have any hope, any passion for anything. He's just hollow on the inside for something. I don't know why. And another one, the one who has only one arm, he just becomes senile for some reason. And then there's, Schneider. He dies, whatever. And of course, this Miller character, he at the end just crashes out, and he starts a fire, and he burns buffalo hides in a fire, and then he rides his horse into the darkness, and he is never seen again. Apparently he lost his mind as well, and this is how the novel ends, and I'm just like, what is all of this? This seems a bit too melodramatic. A bit too melodramatic, in my view. There is absolutely no reason, no explanation for these characters to be this affected by something that was, they had some losses, whatever. They faced harsh weather. They had to eat only meat for a couple of months. They had to ration their coffee, their tobacco, their whiskey, whatever. It was kind of cold, I guess. They couldn't, bathe. Yeah, it was slightly difficult, I guess. Maybe the isolation had something to do with their precarious mental health. It is a spectacle, but not in a good way. To me, this book is a comedy because from beginning to end, these characters are moody, cranky, and they engage in pathetic, petty bickering for no reason. It's like they're constipated constantly. It's just It's just not fun to read. And throughout this story, these characters are incompetent from beginning to end. They talk the talk. They act, like they're hot shots, especially Miller. They're just so. It's like they're competing with one another to show to the other. I'm just hot shit. I'm the best at what I do, and yet every single step of the way they fumble the bag. They just make simple basic mistakes, like they didn't think that, oh shit, we're going into the mountains, maybe we should bring some boots and some fur coats and shit and gloves, and they don't bring enough water, and Miller doesn't even remember the correct path, the correct route, and they are lost for weeks at a time. I'm just like, bro, what is this? Nothing interesting happens. Nothing I would say that nothing sinister happens. It's just four losers going on this silly expedition because they want to make some money, whatever, and they lose their cargo. They lose their precious cargo. One of Schneider dies, and then when they finally arrive back at Butcher's Crossing, they are met with the news that the buffalo hide business has gone under. Nobody wants to buy these hides anymore. So even if they brought their cargo safe and sound, it would have been for naught. It would have been pointless, meaningless, which yet again reinforces the fact that this story is a sad comedy. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's preposterous. Of course, to me at least, it was not the same reading experience as with Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. That book, for the most part, it is just it is a continuous nightmare of bloodshed and carnage. It is a nightmare, whereas this book, it is, I don't know, descriptions of nature, which is fine, and at the end, we got a few beautifully written paragraphs by John Williams in which he describes what Andrews is going through. Basically, Andrews starts off as this innocent, gullible fool. He doesn't have any life experience. Actually, he doesn't have any experience in anything. And because of this expedition, he loses his innocence, which is foreshadowed, and he becomes this empty shell, this hollow husk of his former self, and then he just goes away. I guess this is the lesson of the story, which is fine. I don't understand why he is so heartbroken and devastated by what has happened that he becomes this, almost this scarecrow. He becomes hollow, like he has witnessed the most horrific thing possible. Okay? It is a bit of a stretch. What happens to these characters, especially to Andrews, kind of silly. And because it was, listen, the read, the style, the story itself, how it is written and narrated, it is a bit dull. It is a bit of a chore to read. It is a bit of a drag. And because of this, I had to read this book in increments. I had to take breaks because it became a bit too dull, a bit too repetitive. The bickering was silly. I was not engaged. I was not immersed. Of course, there is some beauty here. There is some wisdom here. Some of the paragraphs are written, in a wise and astute style. Some of the paragraphs are absolutely brilliant, but they cannot save the fact that overall the story is so disappointing that I will never, ever, ever read this book again, and I cannot, in good conscience, recommend this book to anybody because it's just such a Instead of reading this book, you should just read Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, because it's such a better read, okay, in every aspect. And I was led to believe that this is a masterpiece. It isn't so. And I have his acclaimed novel Stoner, and apparently that one is an absolute masterpiece, legendary, and I hope it doesn't disappoint when I get the chance to read it. But that's about it. If you enjoy this content, if you want to support your boy, I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. If the link does not work, you can search my name, Griffith Samsara. Thanks for watching. See ya.